Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Really excited because we've got BitBoy back on the channel. Fun fact, the OG very first collaboration that was ever done on the Hashoshi channel was with BitBoy. So thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Always love returning to this channel. It's a lot of good memories.
Good memories, exactly. Even though now you're like a giant YouTube star, and I'm,
actually
here.
I'm only 5'10".
Oh, okay, fair.
So I'm not a giant.
I got you beat there. I'm 6'1", so we're good. We're
Ooh,
good. At least I'm beating you in one spot, eh?
I've been looking up to you for a long time.
Hey, there you go. All right, jokes aside, folks, today we're going to be talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin, and something we don't talk about very often on the channel. We're going to talk about the price and where it's going. What are some of the drivers for the price movement that we're seeing, and maybe what can we expect for 2021? So the first place that I want to start is with Ethereum. I think a lot of people are maybe confused, maybe pleasantly surprised that Ethereum is broken above its previous all-time high already this year, in well over the $1,000 US dollar mark. Why do you think that is, to be honest, considering Ethereum 2.0 is still very much in the works?
Yeah, I think this is where, it really boils down to the development is not as important as the speculation at this point in cryptocurrency. I mean, I'm like you, we've been in this for years and years, and the reason why we do this is not for 1 year's worth of a bull run where the price goes up. It's great times for sure.
Yeah.
We love that. We compare to the bear market, it's much better for a multitude of reasons. But the thing is we're in this because we believe long-term that this technology is going to change the world as much as the internet did. So got to be really clear about that. I believe long-term in cryptocurrency. But on my channel, we talk a lot about the speculation because it is an ingredient of what occurs in the overall cryptocurrency market. And, for me, the bull run is why Ethereum is going up. Bitcoin increasing by a lot. The natural flow of those profits goes down into Ethereum. I think we're about to see another explosion of Ethereum here pretty soon. It feels like it's coiling up, between $1,250, $1,350, $1,400 for a huge move. I think in the next few weeks, we're going to see a big move. But, I think that has a lot to do with it. But there is, one thing fundamentally that's happening, I think, that is going to be to propel it forward, which is the same way that Bitcoin was changed, right? Now, Bitcoin can't change. It's an immutable ledger. But the narrative of what Bitcoin is has changed. And when it started, it was an electronic peer-to-peer version of cash. Satoshi wrote that on, peer-to-peer electronic cash right there on the white paper. It is not that anymore. It's gold. It's digital gold. It's a hedgeable asset. The same way that you wouldn't go to the car dealership with a bar of gold and offer to buy, a Mercedes or however much, a bar of gold would buy you, you wouldn't do that with Bitcoin because it's more valuable to hold on to it. And so we're seeing that same kind of thing creep into Ethereum now with these institutional investors who feel like they've missed out on the Bitcoin craze or getting it, perfect prices to say, ooh, Ethereum's just barely at that all-time high. Bitcoin's way above it. Let's invest big dollars into it. And then maybe they can change that narrative where always it's going to be a platform, I guess it's not technically a utility token itself. It's a utility coin in a way. This platform is the utility. But, it's also, I think, going to arise as a store of value. I've been talking about it on my channel for about 2 months now. And we've been seeing now, like even CoinDesk writing articles about that. So I think that's why we've gotten to where we're at with Ethereum is because of basically just the bullish momentum of Bitcoin profits going downhill and then going forward with the explosion. I think it's because we're going to see that change of that narrative.
And I think it's interesting because, I started to read articles about how, like Grayscale Capital, they're talking about institutional interest in Ethereum and Ether skyrocketing, which at face value, people might be surprised about because you're saying the fundamental economics of Ether maybe are not the same as Bitcoin. Why would they be interested? It's a much different play, but it's undeniable that there's got to be something going on behind the scenes. And I'm of the mind that institutional investing and institutional money coming in is the main reason why Bitcoin so quickly surpassed everyone's expectations. And I think the same probably will be the case for Ether, maybe even longer into the future.
Yeah, well, we've seen with Bitcoin, and it's just very interesting when you start to look at the price points, right? The price went up. A lot of us thought that when we hit $30,000, and we thought this for a year before it even hit that, that once it hit $30,000, we were going to get a big pullback.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that we didn't. So the long and the short of it is, it looks like what happened with Bitcoin is that all of the money came in, right? The big money, the institutional money started rising. It got it up to the $30,000 level. They were buying up that whole time. And then from 30 to 40 was all the retail people coming in, and all of the lower, like maybe Fortune, is there a Fortune 1000 or a Fortune 2000? I don't know. I know there's a Fortune 500, but some of smaller businesses coming up and buying it up for the treasury that can't control the price of the market. Those companies were the ones, and those investors were the ones that pushed the price up to 42K. And what do we see? We saw it come all the way back down, and at each price point, those people sold out because they're the weekends. Then where did the institutional money come right back in at? 30K. 30K is where Grayscale, I think it was 31K actually, where Grayscale bought $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
MicroStrategy bought another $10 million worth of Bitcoin when it hit 31,000 exactly. And you see the game a little bit, kind of like we're seeing it on Wall Street. There's certainly a game in cryptocurrency as well. A lot of the same people, obviously, at the top between the stock market and the crypto markets. But I thought that was very interesting. So, with Ethereum, it seems like it's kind of been held back here below 1,500. Is this kind of the price point? We're going to see it explode up and then maybe have a Bitcoin similar retraction? Possibly could.
And that's another interesting point too, is, thinking about the mechanics with Bitcoin, right? If you're a whale in Bitcoin, you're a holder that has a lot of resources in this context of Bitcoin, but you're not really a security threat to the Bitcoin network just by having a lot of money, right? However, in Ethereum, as they move to proof of stake, I can start to see maybe an environment where you start to worry about exchanges and huge whales maybe being a risk for collusion as you start to enter the world of proof of stake in ETH 2.0. I wonder if maybe that might be something that's holding people back, this idea of, fear of the unknown, I guess, moving to proof of stake from proof of work, because it's a whole new world.
Yeah, well, I think that for a lot of bigger investors, it just boils down to what they were like right now. They still have the option to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? The rates at which Bitcoin is being bought up, they're not going to have that option in the future. There won't be enough Bitcoin to go around. We make that joke and we talk about it, but there literally won't be. At this rate,
happening. All
these companies are buying up over 200% of the daily Bitcoins that are being mined, So with Ethereum, we don't really have that kind of FOMO yet, but yet you saw this on exchanges when they dumped down. In one day, exchange reserves dropped 27% for Ethereum. So all this money is starting to flow in. So I think that the more money that comes in, and there was also a report that said that we have more, not only just more Ethereum wallets, but more whale Ethereum wallets have been created. And so that kind of tells you a lot of this institutional money is coming in, and these people, as far as nodes and, wanting to manipulate the price from that perspective, I don't think they care about that. And the reason would be because they have enough money to manipulate the market. They don't need to worry about the validator nodes. They don't need to kind of go with the workaround. And I don't know, it is an interesting thought to think about, if you've got so many, I don't know, maybe a lot of these people that are doing these DeFi rug pulls, stacking up ETH, they're whales for sure. I mean, some of these people are making $1 million a day. So definitely interesting conversation needs to be had. And like a lot of changes, can still come in for ETH 2.0 as well. A lot of it is not set in stone. Kind of like, with the EIP 1559 is a big proposal going on right now. There's a lot of stuff surrounding that. So I would think that as this progresses, if issues like that do come up, I think there can be fixes for it.
Right. Yeah, and I totally agree. And you brought up EIP 1559, which it's been a topic of conversation for actually a fairly long period of time, but it kind of comes in cycles and comes back in waves. The long and short, and I would love to get your perspective on this, but I think the thing that's both controversial and also exciting for the investor side is that it would start to create a deflationary force against the supply of Ether, because you'd be burning sort of a base fee with each transaction. Do you think that that's going to have a substantive effect on the price of Ether if that is first of all, in just the fight of whether or not 1559 is instituted?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of burning. I'm definitely a big fan of that. And your audience, anyone who watches my channel knows, like I'm not an expert in mining or development on that end of things. I came in as just a guy that was interested in crypto because of decentralization. And so I've had to learn a lot of this stuff, you know? So from my perspective, not coming at it from that, you know, from that angle, I kind of don't care about the miner infighting, you know, like it doesn't matter to me. When I look at the proposal and you know, the adaptive block size is pretty interesting to me because that's why Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash split and Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV was all over block size. So an adaptive block size that allows, you know, it not to get too congested during times of high traffic. I think that's very interesting. I like that too. But to me, the linchpin in this is the burning. I think the burning is phenomenal. I haven't heard many people on YouTube talk about the uncapped supply of Ethereum. And we always talk about the two problems. We talk about gas fees, and we talk about scalability, right? Two problems. We don't talk about that enough, the uncapped supply. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is 21 million. There's 4 million of them out there lost. There's, you know, according to Glassnode, said there's like 7 million out there that don't ever move, never move. 7 million Bitcoin, almost half of them. Okay. That means the supply that is circulating is more valuable. With Ethereum, you don't have that. You've got 114 Ether out there, 114 million Ether out there right now. You got 21 million Bitcoin ever. So when you really start to do that math, it's a little concerning. I think it's a 2% increase in supply no, it's higher than that because I think that there's about 7 to 8 million a year that it increases. So I don't know exactly what the percent is, but that's a problem long term. Right now, it's not that big of a problem, but once it gets to 200 million, that's almost twice what it is now, and it's only going to take 10 years to get there or so. So I think doing something about that, whether it's EIP 59 or whether it's something else, I feel like there's got to be something done, especially to allow the big institutional money to come in because they're going to stay. They're not going to sell for 10 years, right? Yeah. They're going to keep it for the long term. So because of that, you definitely have to get to a point where you're doing something to keep that cap supply. And I think the burning can keep either more valuable, and I do think it will have a substantive effect on the price because it's allowing those longer term investors that won't let go to come into your ecosystem. Number one, pumping up the price. And number two, meaning that the volatility on the downside during bear markets will be less. Kind of like, hopefully, I think we're going to see with Bitcoin here. So I hope that answered the question. I think it did.
Yeah, no, I think it does. Yes. And again, I think if you look at broadly the year 2021, we're just starting, right? We're just starting here. It's already kind of been a roller coaster the first bit of the year in terms of prices, in terms of the stock market and the crypto market, et cetera. What are some of the things you're looking at? What are some of your broad predictions for how this year plays out? I'm genuinely curious to hear.
Well, I mean, so far the market has pretty much played out exactly how I have said it would for about a year now. In terms of where we're at now, I said, you know, back in 2019, I said I believe that the bull run would start and that Bitcoin would hit all-time highs in November or December of 2020, and we hit it dead on. I said we had to be at $8,000 by the time of the halving for the price to rocket. It got to 10,000 and then it dropped to 84. It never went that low. So things have been, you know, tracking along very nicely. I believe it's going to hit $100,000 sometime, you know, over the summer probably. I think we're looking at a $300,000 Bitcoin. I mean, that's, you know, I think that's the bullish scenario, especially if you factor in the stimulus money printing, right? That has so much to do with all this. This is taking it from where we were looking at maybe having a low six-figure Bitcoin, like 100,000, and then dropping down to where now 300,000-400,000, especially 200,000. Like these numbers are definitely in play. Now, if we get to the summer and we're at 50,000, like no, probably not. Yeah. But right now we're tracking along with that. So based on that and based on the history of the Ethereum price percentage, how many Satoshis it is versus Bitcoin, I think we could see in Ethereum, you know, somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 this year. I think 10,000 is minimum $10,000 Ethereum. My personal prediction is 27,000. There's a lot of factors. That's not me just picking a number out of the air. A lot of factors that went into that. That's based on a $320,000 Bitcoin. So if we don't get that, if we only get a $100,000 Bitcoin or so, I still think we're looking at 10,000 for Ethereum. So now, highly speculative market. This is based on the total historical Bitcoin cycles that we've seen. We could see something totally different. We're only on number 4. So we've got 3 to go on. We're on number 4. But so far, all 3 of the first ones played out exactly the same way. So I believe that we will. And so far, through this one, it's played out the same way. So there's no reason in my mind to think that that won't continue.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If you look at the some of the quantitative indicators. Like I always tease on the channel and tell people, anyone who's predicting cannot make you any guarantees. So please do not take them as a promise, because it's either based on a trend, it's based on a guess. Worst case scenario, sometimes people do literally draw out of a hat the number they say for the day. So, whatever, take it with a grain of salt. But I think if you look at historical trends, it gives you this idea of what could happen if the trends are followed. And it's interesting to think about. So I think, I say this a lot. It's some tasty food for thought to just go forward, imagining what could be. And of course, looking for all the opportunities that there are to even, people say, I can't afford one Bitcoin. You don't need a whole one, right? Get what you can get and make sure you do it in a way that doesn't affect the rest of your life and hold long term.
Well, if you can get a quarter of a Bitcoin by the time this bull runs over, or soon, you wait for it to go down, it drops on average 85%, boom, you got enough money to buy a full Bitcoin if you cash out near the top. So I tell you, all this breaks down for me where I'm with you. Like, we speculate on my channel a good bit, but where kind of the rubber meets the road is when people start wanting to take loans to buy crypto. Right. That's where you say, absolutely not. Like, no. I don't care how strongly I feel that this is going to a certain price, and I tell you that, don't go out and take loans to buy crypto, because it is highly speculative. And what happens is, the reason why people get in trouble when they're doing that is they don't know when to sell. So even if you took out loans and you got a massive gain, if you've got to take out loans to buy crypto, you haven't been in the space for very long. And so you're not going to know when to get out. And then when the price starts dropping, it's going to get to a point where you don't even have enough money to pay off the loan, and you're having to pay interest on this high dollar loan, and you'll get in big time trouble. So you got to remember, this is all speculation. We're doing the best that we can to predict, like, you said, the food for thought. This is where we think it's going to go. Just remember at all times, it's a highly speculative market, and do not get wrecked.
Agreed. Yes. And that's a good rule of thumb. If you don't have the money, don't invest, period. In anything, not just crypto, but, we'll just lay that out there. And I think that is about as good of a place to end as any. If you carry nothing from this video, that would be it. And so I just want to thank you, BitBoy, for joining me on the channel again. And of course, we will probably cook something up again here sometime this year, hopefully to celebrate the price predictions that you just made being correct. My fingers crossed.
I think I'll be on every channel if that comes on.
No, honestly. Love it. All right. Cheers, guys. And I will see you on the next one.